the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Inna Allah yu'ayyidu ad-din bir-rajul al-fajir," which means indeed Allah, He aids this religion by way of a sinful man. By way of a sinful man. Meaning Allah aids Islam by way of a sinful man. And the reason why the Shaykh mentioned this hadith is because sometimes the people of innovation and misguidance, they might bring a text which they misunderstand in order to invalidate these principles that we are discussing, right? So for example, when we say, don't sit with someone who's been put to trial in his religion because he might affect you, then these people will say, but didn't the Prophet also say that Allah will aid the religion by way of a sinful man? It's like a misconception. It's like you're trying to oppose like these principles by an ambiguous text whose meaning you have not understood. And as for the correct meaning of this text, what's the correct meaning of this hadith? That indeed Allah aids the religion by way of a sinful man. The correct understanding of this text is very simple, because we know the context of this hadith, the context of this statement. This statement was made because of a man who was in jihad in the battlefield, and he was very brave and a great fighter, and he was brave and courageous on the field. However, he got wounded in many places, and so he was left, and then the people start speaking of him well, and saying he's going to be a martyr, and he's going to be this, and he's going to be this, and praising him and lauding him and so on and so forth. And the Messenger of Allah, when he saw him, he mentioned that this person is from the inhabitants of the hellfire. And at the end of it, and the companions were surprised and perplexed. Why is that? Why would that be? And it turned out that this man eventually, not being able to have patience upon the wounds, he ended up committing suicide. Right? And suicide is from the major sins. It doesn't mean that you left the fold of Islam, but it's from the major sins, right? So as a result of that, that man would have entered, hellfire. At the end of that, the Messenger said, "Inna Allah yu'ayyidu ad-din bir-rajul al-fajir," that indeed Allah aids the religion by way of a sinful man. What does this mean? This man, obviously he was sinful in what he did, but nevertheless, here he's involved in jihad, and he's aiding the religion of Allah by way of that. Right? This is the context of this particular hadith. And then when we look at the scholars, such as Shaykh bin Baz, rahimahullah, and other scholars, when they explain this hadith as well, they say, for example, this could be a man, for example, that he doesn't really intend to aid the religion, but maybe he's spending money on some other issue in his land, for his country, for whatever reason it might be, and indirectly it aids the religion, right? So this is another example of a man who would be aiding the religion even though he is sinful because his intention is not correct, or whatever it might be. So there are numerous explanations of that hadith, but that hadith in no way does it clash with or contradict the principle that we are mentioning here, that you shouldn't sit with a person who has been put to trial in his religion if you want to be safe, right? And this is how people get put to trial. This is how people get led astray by mixing with, interacting with people like this. And in fact, I'll give you one example. I think I may have alluded to it in the previous lesson. I mentioned an example of a scholar from the Ash'ari scholars called Abu Bakr al-Baqilani. Abu Bakr al-Baqilani. He is from the early scholars of the sect of the Ash'aris. And what he used to do, because he was in Baghdad, in the city of Baghdad, in Iraq, back in the 4th century after Hijrah, he would be, because that place was full of the Hanbalis, the followers of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. He would often make a display of being a Hanbali in order to kind of shield himself, right? And obviously he had lots of good books in refutation of like the Christians, the Jews, and other kind of groups and sects, the Mu'tazila and whatever. So on one occasion what happened is there was an individual by the name of Abu Dhar al-Harawi. Abu Dhar al-Harawi. And he was walking with ad-Darqutni. You might have heard of ad-Darqutni, right? Hadith scholar. So they were walking, and along comes Abu Bakr al-Baqilani. And so ad-Darqutni, he turned to him, hugged him, kissed his forehead, and when they separated, Abu Dhar said to him, "Who is this man? Who is this man that you hugged and kissed and whatever?" He said, "Hada Imamul Muslimin. Hada Imamul Muslimin. This is the Imam of the Muslims. And Wadhabu al-Din, and one who defends the religion." Because al-Baqilani, he obviously had defense of the religion against the philosophers and the Jews and the Christians and so on and so forth. And so Abu Dhar said, from that time I frequented him, meaning I kept visiting him, and then I followed his doctrine. I followed his doctrine. But al-Baqilani was an Ash'ari from the people of Kalam, right? As a result of that, this man Abu Dhar al-Harawi, he was from North African area. He used to visit there. He spread the Ash'ari madhab to North Africa, right? So this is like an example of an encounter with a person of innovation, and someone praised him and spoke highly of him, as a result of which the other person, Abu Dhar al-Harawi, got entangled with him and his doctrine and his innovation, right? So this shows that this is how misguidance, how it spreads, right? It is through interactions and contact with the people of innovation and misguidance. So this that the Sharia has come with, and what the Sunnah has come with, this is a safeguarding mechanism to put an end to the spread of misguidance as much as is possible. And the Shaykh goes on to explain that Mus'ab, who is the author of the one who said this statement, "Do not sit with a maftoon, la tujalis maftunan." This is Mus'ab ibn Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas. He is the well-known companion. So he's a companion who made this statement, right? Do not sit with one who has been put to trial. La tujalis maftunan. So if you are able to do this, keep away from such a person. And if you are not able to do this, and you are forced to interact, so for example, this could be a family member. You might have someone in your family who is, it could be a Rafidi, could be upon the way of the Shia, could be a Qadari, upon the way of Qadar, could be an Ikhwani or Tablighi or whatever it could be, right? And this we see today in the modern era. We see a single household, right, in London somewhere, right? The son is a follower of Hizb ut-Tahrir, right? He's an extremist, right? And the uncle is a Shi'i, and the daughter is something else, Ikhwani or something. You see this in this country, in a single household, people following different doctrines, different sects. So you could be someone who, by necessity you have to, it's not something you can avoid. So if you are in the situation, the Shaykh says, فَإِن لَمْ تَقْدِرْ وَاضْطَرَرْتَ فَبَيِّنَ الْحَقِّ. If you are not able and you are compelled, then explain the truth. Explain the truth. Do not leave any room for these people, and explain the truth. However, to keep away is better. Or to keep away is better.